Aye.
Meeting of the Fall River Planning Board. It's March 10th, 2021. It's 5:30 p.m. And we'll do the roll call first. And participating remotely are board members Mario Luciola,
Here.
Elizabeth Andre,
Present.
Gloria Pacheco,
Present, participating remotely.
and John Ferrera.
Here.
And I'm Cynthia Savigny, and I'm here. And we also have with us tonight, we have William Kenny, our city planner.
Present remotely.
We have Patty Igia, our previous recording clerk. And Sandy Fisher, our recording clerk. And let's see, we have Attorney Levin here as well.
Yes, and discussing this remotely with you tonight.
Naomi Stores is with us this evening.
Yes.
Kim Pacheco and Dan Agia. And I think I have, oh no, we have also Alex Mello from Fall River Government TV. Now I believe I have everyone. Did I miss anyone?
No.
No missing. Okay, well then, pursuant to the open meeting law, any person may make an audio or video recording of this public meeting or may transmit the meeting through any medium. Attendees are therefore advised that such recordings or transmissions are being made, whether perceived or unperceived, by those present and are deemed acknowledged and permissible. Yeah. Item 01, we have Form C definitive subdivision filed number 20-211. The locations Highland Farms 2, Highland Avenue, Hayfield Lane, and Courtney Street. Assessors map U4 Lot 1 and U5 Lot 1. Consideration of the proposed planning board decision for approval of definitive subdivision plan of land, Highland Farms 2, map U4 Lot 1, U5 Lot 1, Hayfield Lane and Courtney Street in Fall River, Mass. Dated March 7th, 2020, revised on October 1st, 2020, revised on January 16th, 2021, and the public hearing having been closed on February 10th, 2021. And from there, we'll go to Bill.
Thank you. The proposed decision for the board to adopt to approve the Form C subdivision plan was distributed to everybody. There is one change that I want to bring to your attention on paragraph 16. I misunderstood in discussing with the proponents as to whether at some point they intended that the maintenance of roads would be taken over by a homeowners association, and that was my mistake. That was not their intention. So I've deleted that reference. Aside from that, it stands as it was distributed to you, I believe, yesterday morning. And this is the result, as I said in my email, of a lengthy negotiation with the proponents involving planning, engineering, and public utilities departments. I believe that it's in proper form to be adopted, and I would recommend that the board adopt this decision. If you do so, then tomorrow we'd like to get the chair's signature on it so that we can file it with the city clerk, and that filing begins the appeal period on the decision.
Do I have any questions on this? Yes, John.
I agree with Mr. Kenny. I and the rest of my board members, I believe, agree as well that this is going through rigorous back and forth, a lot of participation on both sides. come to this final arrangement and agreement that everybody's happy with. That being said, I would make the motion to accept this decision so they can move forward.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
That's fine.
I'll do a roll call on the acceptance of this motion, and we will start with Mario Luciano,
Yes,
Elizabeth Andrade,
Yes,
Gloria Pacheco,
no,
John Ferrera,
Yes.
and I'm Cynthia Savigny, and I will vote yes on this. So that motion has passed. Item number 02, Courtney Street roadway improvement. Consideration of proposed improvement plan for Courtney Street as described in a plan entitled Roadway Improvement Plan prepared for Bristol Pacific Homes by SciTech Incorporated dated 2/3/21 and as set forth in proposed roadway agreement by and among City of Fall River, Bristol Pacific Homes Incorporated, and Stein Realty and Development Corporation. Bill?
Yes, thank you. The proposed agreement for the improvements to be made to Courtney Street will be in your email tomorrow morning. And that is still subject of some negotiation with the proponents. So it's going to be distributed to Dan Aguirre and his clients as well tomorrow. And what I'm going to suggest on this is that we have a special meeting set up for next Wednesday, the 17th at 6 o'clock. What I'd propose is maybe continue or table that item 02 until next Wednesday at 6 o'clock, at which time we may be able to recommend a vote on adopting that agreement. And by the way, I apologize for St. Patrick's Day fans, but
Yes.
I had to, I know the chair is particularly upset with me and I apologize. But, what happened was that in scheduling these Zoom meetings now, we have to start with the city clerk's office. And when I went to schedule this special meeting, just about everything in March was taken already and a good part of April was gone. And I didn't want to postpone it any further because it's an important issue to discuss an amendment to the HDIP plans. And rather than delaying the proponents there a month or so, I thought it was best to delay St. Patrick's Day maybe an hour or so.
Okay. Anyone like to speak on this? Do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion to table the 02 to the March 17 meeting.
At 6 o'clock. And second?
Oh, 6 o'clock. Okay.
6
Right.
o'clock.
Bill, he corrected me this afternoon. Thank you.
That's right. But you weren't listening to me, so.
No, I,
Do I have a second?
second the motion,
Okay, I'm going to have a roll call now, and we're going to start with Mario Luciola,
yes,
Elizabeth Andre,
yes,
Gloria Pacheco,
yes,
John Ferrera.
Yes.
I'm Cynthia Savigny. I vote yes, and this item will be continued to the March 17th meeting. And now we have a lot of papers. We have item number 1. Item number 1 is a repetitive petition. The owner applicant is John R. Cabral, location.
Excuse me, do you have an item 03 also on your agenda?
No.
I don't. I don't.
No?
Does anyone else?
I
No.
do not,
Patty?
It's
Yeah,
on the city website.
yeah,
Lexington
there was a
Estate Subdivision.
revised agenda. I guess it wasn't sent out. I can read it for you.
It was posted though, right? Patty, it was posted?
Yeah.
All right.
Yes, it is posted.
It's Lexington Estate subdivision status report by city planner regarding work remaining to be completed at Lexington Estate subdivision.
Okay. I can report on that with apologies for not getting it out to the board members. We talked about this issue, it might have been the most recent meeting, at which time the board directed me to send a letter to the developer indicating various requirements that we had for the completion of the work on that. I spoke with Mr. Kafuri today, as a matter of fact, and he has reportedly scheduled a meeting with the city engineer and the city inspector to go to the site to verify the work items that I had requested be done. He claims that as soon as paving activities can start this spring, which is in a matter of a couple of weeks, that he's going to go forward and do the paving on the streets that have been constructed. And I reminded him that before he can go out and do the paving, there are some utility and drainage structures that have to be adjusted and repaired and reworked, and he's aware of that. So hopefully they'll meet tomorrow, come to a meeting of the minds as to what has to be done, and we'll see some activity there in the first couple of weeks of April, which would be a cause for celebration.
Hmm.
And I think I would recommend you table this indefinitely at this point, and I can just report back when and as necessary.
Okay. John, yes.
Yeah, Bill, is there any way that we can at least for the 17th, just get a quick update as to how tomorrow goes? I mean, we can postpone it indefinitely, but just
Yeah.
a quick synopsis on the 17th.
Sure, that's no problem. Yeah, I'm agreeable to that. Just put it over to the 17th then. That's fine.
Yeah, just for a quick synopsis, and then we'll put it off as far as the work goes indefinitely until you see fit.
That makes sense to me.
Thank you.
Okay, said item will be continued to the 17th. I'll do a roll call on the continuance of that. Mario Luciola,
Yes,
Elizabeth Andrade.
Yeah.
Did we get a motion on that, Cindy?
Okay, excuse me. I need a motion to continue this item to March 17th meeting. Do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion that we continue this to the March 17th meeting for an update.
Thanks, John. Second?
I'll second.
Okay, thank you. And again, we will do the roll call on this. Continuance to March 17th, Mario Luciola,
yes,
Elizabeth Andre,
Yes,
Gloria Pacheco,
yes,
John Ferrera,
Yes.
and I'm Cynthia Savigny, and I vote yes as well. And now we are on item number 1. And it's a repetitive petition. The applicant is John R. Cabral. The location is 278 Cross Street, assesses map I-19 and 20. And we have Dan Aguirre here. Dan, are you here on this item?
I am.
Okay.
Are we ready to start?
I can read your letter here. In accordance with Mass General Laws, Chapter 40A, Section 16, the Fall River zoning bylaws, Section 86-487, I respectfully request that the Fall River Planning Board make a determination on the submitted proposal containing specific and material changes in the conditions for which unfavorable action had previously been taken by the City of Fall River Zoning Board of Appeals. On January 16th, the applicant was denied zoning relief, allowing the subdivision of the parcel into 2 parcels, leaving an existing single-family dwelling on one while constructing a new single-family on the second. It appears as though the original submitted petition and plan were in error, and the board may have been unclear as to the petition's request. The existing parcel is comprised of 3 merged previously existing parcels with 53 feet of frontage, parcels D1, 20, and 21, where the existing dwelling was constructed, were purchased by the petitioner in 1979. Deed book 1300, page 283. The existing dwelling was constructed in and around 1980 on this 10,529 square foot parcel. The third parcel, D119, was acquired via probate 1996. Deed book 3177, page 119. City assessors records for this parcel indicate that it falls within the BL district, which requires 50 foot of frontage and 5,000 square feet. The parcels are, however, located within the DR district, requiring 80 foot of frontage and 8,000 square feet. Unbeknownst to the owner, upon probate acquisition, the 3 parcels have merged for zoning parcels. The parcels have been assessed as being separate, and the owner has been taxed as such, dating back to the acquisition. The current petition requests permission to divide the existing 15,798 square feet parcel of land with 159 plus or minus of frontage along Front Street and 99 feet plus or minus frontage along Renard into 2 parcels. The existing parcels located within the R8 single district requiring 80 foot of frontage and 8,000 square feet. The applicant proposes to leave the existing dwelling on one conforming and to construct a new single-family dwelling on a new non-conforming parcel with 53 feet of frontage and 5,269 square feet plus or minus in the area. The proposed configuration matches the previously existing configuration and runs along the existing registered land lot line. The granting of this proposed relief will allow for the construction of a single-family dwelling as originally proposed. And that's all I have in the correspondence.
Okay, thank you. If I may, Madam Chair, when we deal with these repetitive petition requests, we always start off with the conversation that this board is not charged with approving zoning relief, whether you think it's a good idea or not, or whether or not you think they have or should be afforded the ability to have relief granted. What we are here for this evening is for the board to make a determination that this proposed new petition is substantially different than the previous application. Although it is similar in nature with what the end result may be, I think when you look at the decision that was rendered by the board, being very generic, which most of the Zoning Board of Appeals decisions are in the city, we go back to the minutes of the meeting and we read through what transpired during that discussion. In your packet, I have included the decision, the previous application, and the previous plan. The first thing that comes to my attention is that the plan that was prepared by another office, not mine, calls out for this to be simply the construction of a home on a pre-existing non-conforming parcel, and the plan labels that this is a BL district. The plan that was submitted does not reference subdividing anything. It just shows this lot, D19, by itself and to build a house on it. That does not correlate with the application that was submitted by Attorney Medeiros at the time. Attorney Medeiros' application states that it would be a subdivision of these 3 merged parcels. And when you read through the decision, or actually, sorry, the minutes of the meeting, I think it is clear, with only a couple of questions being asked, one by Mr. Calkins and then one by Chairman Assad, I think they had a difficult time correlating the two. They were talking about and asking questions about building setbacks for the existing structure. Where does the existing structure sit? And the plan that was presented did not provide that information. It is my understanding through reading through the minutes as well that Attorney Maderas did ask for the matter to be tabled so that he could present modified plans, which from what I can find in the record, none were ever submitted. And I believe the board voted that night to deny the application. So what we're asking the board to allow to happen is to allow us to go back to the Zoning Board of Appeals with an accurate application, with an accurate plan, and to be able to present and answer the questions that the board had that night that Attorney Maderas was not afforded the ability to do because the plan was in error. So again, although the end results, which would be a single-family home being built on this vacant portion, is identical to what the initial intent was, I do think that the board was not afforded the proper information to allow them to make their determination. Again, I don't want to argue the merits of the granting of the variance with you with regards to the applicant paying taxes and acquiring it at different times and being merged and being labeled wrong to this day on the city website as BL under the Patriot Properties records. It still doesn't say it's an R8. So I do think that if we were able to appear before the Zoning Board of Appeals, we could make a stronger argument, a more accurate argument, and illustrate things that would clear up in the board members' heads to answer some of their questions.
Do I have any discussion on this item?
Yes, I would like to hear from Bill.
Bill?
Had to unmute myself. Okay, Mario, thanks for asking. I think Dan makes a very compelling case. I think the scenario that I hear him reporting is that perhaps the zoning board acted precipitously in denying the opportunity for Mr. Maderas to bring forth a corrected plan and to have further discussion on it. And for that reason alone, I think it's justifies us sending back for a rehearing.
Anybody else?
Anyone else? Yes.
Okay, see that I sort of read most of the article. It seems to me that's a substantial change to the previous hearing. So I will make a motion to approve. Okay. Approve the D1-1920 for hearing through the zoning of appeal.
I second the motion that we allow petitioner to bring the petition before the ZBA.
Okay, we have a motion and a second, and we will now have a roll call vote. Mario Luciola,
Yes,
Elizabeth Andre,
yes,
Gloria Pacheco,
Yes,
John Ferrera,
Yes.
I'm Cynthia Savigny. I vote yes. The motion has passed.
Thank you very much.
Also, on this same item, I have received a letter from, the board has received a letter from Mr. Cabral, rehearing of the fee waiver. He is requesting a financial hardship waiver for the $400 planning board rehearing fee. He's lived at the property for 30+ years, always been prompt with taxes and with other city fees. Take great pride in the city and have always cared for his property. Due to his age and medical conditions, he lives on a small Social Security income. For these reasons, he is asking for the board's consideration in waiving this fee. Bill, is this ever done?
Well, I can't speak forever, but during my previous tenure as planner and during my current tenure, it has not been done. There have been no waivers of fees that I'm aware of.
Okay, so do I have any discussion on this issue? Do I have a motion on this issue?
A motion to vote on it.
I didn't hear you, Beth. You have a motion to approve or not to approve it?
To approve, I'm sorry. Yes.
The $400 fee waiver?
Oh, no, 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 no. No, no, I'm sorry.
Just want to be clear, Beth, what the motion is.
Oh, to approve it or not to approve it?
Yes, he is requesting.
Yes, the 400 waiver, yes.
I
And
do
motion to not approve, sorry.
not approve. Okay, and do I have a second to that motion?
I'll second the motion.
Okay, I have motion and a second, so let's have a roll call vote. Mario Luciola,
Yes,
Elizabeth Andre,
Yes,
Gloria Pacheco,
Yes.
John Ferrera,
Yes,
I'm Cynthia Savigny. I also vote yes, so the fee waiver has not been approved. Okay, and now we are going on to item number 2. This is a repetitive petition and the owner applicant is Naomi Soers, who is with us, and the location 1030 Dwelly Street, assesses map G15-44. Okay, and we have a packet of petitions submitted to the board on this item, and we have a letter from Attorney Levine, who is also with us today. Okay, and Ms. Attorney Levine says, request, please be advised that this office represents Naomi Soers of 1030 Dwelly Street, Fall River. We're requesting that the planning board approve an application to reestablish an abandoned use or allow her to apply for a special permit and or waiver and or variance. On June 22nd, 2020, Naomi Soers requested the Zoning Board of Appeals to reestablish a non-conforming use in a pre-existing non-conforming garage that had once housed a 3-bay garage for an auto repair shop known as South End Auto Sales and Repair. That request was denied. Naomi Soers now requests that her rehearing be allowed to substantial change in her original application. The premises consist of a 2-family dwelling and 3 garages. The existing 2-family dwelling will continue to be used as such. The smaller existing garage at the northeast corner of the property will solely be used for residential parking for the 2-family dwelling, and there has been added 2 additional residential parking spaces on the property, which had not been part of the original application. The large existing garage at the northeasterly corner of the property will only be used for a single bay auto repair shop, and it will contain an office and laboratory for any customer and employee, and that would be Naomi Soers' husband at the shop. Naomi Soers will maintain 3 parking spaces for customers to make appointments or to leave a car that will be brought into the garage for repairs. No repairs will be made outside of the garage. These are changes that represent substantial differences than what was requested and discussed at the hearing before the Zoning Board of Appeals on June 22nd. And that's June 11. And
Yes.
yes,
Madam Chairman, members of the board, Attorney Mark L. Levin, 138 Rock Street, Fall River, Mass. I just want to comment on my letter. There was a clerical error. It's actually a 2-family building and 2 garages on that lot. I did not attend the initial meeting, but I understand at that meeting, when they were trying to reestablish the abandoned use, there was not information supplied for the board to understand that this had been used in the past as not only an auto repair shop, but the property had actually contained a used car license to sell anywhere during the years between 5 and 7 cars. The auto repair shop was a 3-bay shop. There was a second garage on the property, and I believe people thought that that was also going to be used for a commercial use of the property. We've changed that so that it's listed and will be dedicated only for the residential use of the 2-family dwelling. And we've added on the parking area 2 additional parking spaces for the residential area. What we've now proposing, other than the parking, is that the garage that had been used as 3 bays for Frank Ladera, which was the south end auto repair and sales, that it'll only be a single bay that they'll use. So there'll only be 1 car being worked on at a time in the unit. They'll have an office there, they'll have a lavatory, and they will have additional parking so people can park their cars outside, so they're not parking on the street at all. I think part of what was not presented, beside what I've just told you now, the differences in what the density of the work will be, is that I also submitted to the board on March, I sent it by email on March 2nd, and I delivered to the board on March 3rd, a package which showed the actual licenses that my client provided to me from the city, where there had been used car licenses anywhere back from 1983 to 2003. And in fact, there is the license to operate the auto repair shop that was issued back in 1998 and expired in 2003. At that time, Mr. Ladera had left the premises and these weren't used, but that garage had always been left in its almost position that it had been as a business. And my client is going to eliminate as much as she believes it can be done in order to be financially successful, because they had to buy new lifts and other equipment for that garage. I believe the changes and such that couldn't be explained because the attorney that represented my client before did not even know that this had been used as a auto repair and had license for sales. There won't be any sales of cars, even though that allowed it to be within that property. They could have 5 to 7 cars. It's only going to be for 1 bay repair shop now. I believe that we've provided also some petitions by the neighbors, because there weren't any opposition at that case, but we have almost every single neighbor in that neighborhood that has no opposition to this to be reheard before the zoning board. And we also had a letter from a individual, Maria Botello, who lives nearby, and she recalls that there had been a 3-bay repair shop on the property to establish that this is requesting the use that was abandoned to be reused, but at a much smaller, less dense use for the property than was before. I think that this represents a substantial difference to the petition brought and brings you information that was not supplied before to the zoning board to make, so they could make a proper decision that you believe this makes substantial changes that we can reapply to the zoning board for their hearing. Thank you.
Do I have any questions or comments? Yes, John.
I'm somewhat familiar with this property because I plow in that area for the city as a sector leader. I know we have 2 correspondents here from Glenn Hathaway. I did call him today just to see what if he had any objections or concerns about this. He had no objection to Ms. Naomi Soers resubmitting this to zoning. I did look over the 19 signatures on the petition. I know the area, Wilbur, and all of the streets, Slade. So they are all the signatures on the petition are in the immediate area. Obviously, that's big because we want to know what the immediate abutters or close to have to say. So with that, I mean, I believe there's also substantial change, and I would make a motion that they resubmit this to the zoning board of appeals.
Second the motion?
A second.
Okay, we will do a roll call vote on that motion. Mario Luciola,
Yes,
Elizabeth Andre,
yes,
Gloria Pacheco,
Yes.
John Ferrera.
Yes,
I'm Cynthia Savigny, and I vote yes on that as well.
Thank you very much for consideration and have a nice evening.
Thank
You
you
as
all
well.
so much.
Thank
You
you.
too.
take care.
Okay, item number 3 is approval of the minutes of the February 10th, 2021 meeting.
I make a motion that we accept the minutes of the meeting. Everybody was present, and I believe everybody has a copy.
Yes,
I'll second the motion.
okay, and we'll have a roll call on this approval of the minutes. That's Mario Luciola,
Yes,
Elizabeth Andre,
Yes,
Gloria Pacheco,
Yes.
John Ferrera,
Yes,
and Cynthia Savigny. I vote yes. I believe public input, there is no one else to be heard. And so I vote to adjourn.
make a motion to adjourn.
Do I have a second?
a second.
We will also have a roll call. Mario Luciola,
Yes,
Elizabeth Andre,
Yes,
Gloria Pacheco,
Yes.
John Ferrera.
yes.
I'm Cynthia Savigny. I vote yes. The meeting is adjourned. And
Thank you. Have a great night.
we will
You
see
too.
you all
Next-
next week,
Next Wednesday.
next St. Patrick's Day.
on Zoom, correct?